bros, what's up, man? How you doing? It's Henry at Mowers and Blowers again. Today it's a 75, 80 degree day, but it's gonna have severe thunderstorms. We could really use the rain, to be honest with you. It's been hotter than hell lately, you know. You guys on the East Coast, you know what I'm talking about, man. It's like you can fry an egg on the asphalt, man. Anyway, so it's been a busy, busy week, as you guys all know. If you've been following me, you'll know that I just picked up 4 tractors without engines and 3 engines that smoke. Then I have a Powermore Zongshen engine that Nick gave me, and I haven't torn into that yet because I've just got so much to do, and I'm in the middle of rebuilding 2 engines and stuff. That little thing that I was talking about the other day, I figured out what it was. This is kind of key, which is why I'm bringing it up. So this thing here is actually called a valve seal. There's only one on the intake side of that 21 horsepower Briggs overhead valve engine. Okay, so I was wondering why there was only one, and then I looked at the schematics and the diagram, and they say it's only on the intake side. Now, then I went and looked at the part number and tried to get a new one because this one looked a little hinky. I didn't really know what it looked like in the beginning, you know? So there's supposed to be a really tiny spring on this rubber part of it, right? And this one's all worn out without the spring. So I'm thinking, could this be the reason that thing smoked so much? It needed a new valve seal? That could be part of the problem. So either way, I ordered an entire kit. It comes with a couple of these, a couple of head gaskets, a couple of O-rings. It's a really good kit. If I knew that they had that kit, I would have bought that in the beginning because it has the head gasket, it has the valve cover gasket, it's got O-rings and valve seals and all kinds of gaskets, like 20 gaskets, and it was only like 11 bucks, you know what I'm saying? Well, I paid like 8 for a regular head gasket, you know what I mean? So this is really worth it. So I got that kit. I got some of those keeper things, and I got that washer that goes on top of the spring, you know. Anyway, so I got all those. I gotta wait like 4 or 5 days until those damn things come. Then I can start putting together this 21 horsepower engine. But in the meantime, I got this thing. This is from Joe Cardoso, my buddy from recent years. He's such a nice guy, that guy, you know. That guy's a good guy. Anyway, so he gave me this for free. Free! That's right, free. And it's an Lt2000. It's in excellent condition, as you guys can see. There's no rust. There's no scratches. I mean, it looks like it's in excellent condition. I mean, there's some surface rust on the deck and stuff like that. And this thing here looks a little weathered and faded, which is kind of surprising because the rest of the tractor looks so good, you know. But maybe I'll just replace this with this one that Nick gave me. It looks exactly the same. It looks identical. Maybe I'll just, you know, take that thing out, pull the thing, stick that back in there. Or I could just take my 98-cent quick color from Home Depot and done. Maybe I'll just do that. Because I got to paint the deck anyway, you know. And I've got so much crap to take care of, man. I'm totally overwhelmed. So look, just to give you a quick summary, right? Joe and his friend got this from Connecticut. It didn't run. And they said that they ran an outside small fuel tank just to test, right? And I think they said they got it kind of started and it sputtered a lot, you know what I mean? So they took it, just the top part off a little bit, just the covers and stuff like that. They disconnected the battery and the harness and all that stuff, and things look like they're a little bit taken apart. I'm sure you guys feel the same way I do. I hate it when you got to go into something that somebody else has been in there, you know what I mean? You don't know what they did, you know? So you essentially have to look over the whole thing and see, is everything in order, you know? Of course, you have to have the knowledge to know whether or not it's in order or not. Otherwise, what are you looking at, you know? You got to know kind of like what you're doing. I've only worked on this kind of engine once, and that was my Husqvarna YTH2448T. Don't ask me how I remember these things. I don't know. But anyway, That was a 25 horsepower engine. This is exactly the same engine, but it's rated at 22 horsepower. So I'm just gonna take the top part off, and not the engine, just the cowlings and stuff like that. And look at the wires. Fuel pump, fuel lines, spark plug wires. I see some of these metal shrouds are kind of loose, you know. Checks for spark on both spark plugs. There's no starter on here because they said their starter fried. So they chucked the starter, which I wish they didn't do because you could use that gear, you know. I believe this is the plastic gear because when I went on eBay to look for a starter for this, it was all the plastic gear. I didn't see any metal gears for this specific engine, so I'm pretty sure it's a plastic gear. Lucky for me, I have a starter with the plastic gear. I actually have two. I even have one with the metal one. You know, it's I stopped selling stuff that I know I'll need in the future. You know, when I get stuff, I strip it down and usually I sell them on eBay, right? But then how many times do I sell something or throw something away and go, God damn it, I threw that away last week. I could really use that right now. Now I gotta go buy it, you know? So don't throw your stuff away, man. Not sure if this works. I think it works, but I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm gonna put this on after I triage all this. It also doesn't have a ignition switch. This is from my Weed Eater 1 from 2 years ago. I just kept it, you know. It's the same one. You look at the tabs on the bottom. SMB A1 A2 L G. G's ground. S is solenoid or starter. M is magneto. Battery. B is for battery. A is for accessory 1. Usually for the fuel solenoid switch. And then the L is for lights, you know. That's usually hooked directly to a stator. This stator is a dual circuit stator. It does not have an electric PTO, which is why it's a dual circuit stator, which is the weak one. It's only like 5 amps. It generates just a little bit over 13 volts and stuff, DC. So that was disconnected. I just connected it. I don't know why they disconnected it, but we'll see. That's the kind with the diode on it. It has a red and black wire. The red wire has the diode in it. The diode is what prevents current from going back to the stator again. Don't ask me how I know all this stuff. It's actually from the subscribers like you guys. When I go and work on a tractor and I'm learning something for the first time, you guys, the subscribers, and my regular dudes, write down, Henry, that stator is a 5 amp dual circuit stator. That diode on there is to prevent the current from going back up to there and frying the stator. I learn all this stuff from my subscribers, and I appreciate it so much. You know, you guys help me learn, and in turn, together, we help you guys learn. You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to comment. If you've got a problem or issue with your lawn tractor, right, feel free to comment. All my regular guys will tell you that I answer every email with a thumbs up or a thumbs down, or I write something back to you, you know? I enjoy doing it, and it's part of engagement, you know what I mean? Building like a small forum and networking of dudes that, you know, have same interests, and that's what this channel is all about, you know what I mean? A lot of new subscribers. The more I say what I just said, the more they say, hi. You know, they start with a hi. I'm whatever from North Carolina. How you doing? I've been watching your videos for months, but I never commented. But after you told me to that you answer every comment, just go ahead and throw it out there. And now I see that people are actually writing stuff like, hey, you know, I got this 12.5 engine. It smokes here, smokes there. It doesn't run, shuts off, whatever. And you guys start answering them for me, you know? Good for you, because if you know the answer to help this guy, help the guy. You know what I mean? You could not just be helping that guy, but a guy could be watching and lurking and kind of afraid to comment, you know? And he goes, I have that same problem. You know, I'm going to input, you know, my feedback on it, you know? So that's what this channel is all about, guys, you know? Do me a favor. If you're not in any hurry and you're watching one of my videos, let the ads roll all the way to the end, okay? Helps me out. A little bit of coin, you know what I mean? Anyway, so look, I'm gonna try this one. I'm a little afraid of electrical. I'm getting better at it as day goes by, but electrical is always scary to me. I don't like messing with it, but looks like most of the wires are good. I just hope all safety switches are good. You know, you probably have a PTO safety switch, a seat safety switch, a brake safety switch that kills the magneto. You know what I mean? And I hate it, but we'll see what happens. I'm going to rip off the top first, you know, this just to get a look, and you guys can see what's going on. I haven't done anything to it yet. I haven't touched it. I did check the Earl. Remind me to put some SAE 30 plus motor oil from my friends at Lucas Oil Products. Anyway, so it's right below the add line, okay? So I do have to add some. If it's below the add line, it's probably like 3/4 of a quart, something like that. So I'll put that in there later. But remind me, okay? All right, we'll get started. I haven't done anything else to it. I only have a battery to it. But my buddy Nick, who I got a couple of tractors from yesterday, he gave me an old battery that he has like 9 batteries in his van, because he says he takes them to AutoZone and they give him a $5 gift card per battery. So I'm like, dude, how do you know these batteries are bad? You know, he's like, oh yeah, they all suck. I'm like, but how do you know? So I made him get his multimeter out, and we tested one, and they were all like 6 volts, 3 volts, 2 volts, whatever, yeah, and they were pretty bad. And then there was this one that showed 12.47 volts. I'm like, oh, that's a good one. That's good enough to start. He's like, here, you can have it. So I'm like, bet. Thank you. He's a good guy, man. That guy, Nick. This is Nick's first experience being on camera like this, and now he's a superstar. So he's becoming one of my regular characters, you know. So you got Nick, you got Pete Lombardi, you got my buddy Andy from Jericho. Jason Pate started off with being in one or two of my videos, and now he's got his own channel, man. Good for him, you know. I support Jason Pate of Pate's Performance. You guys go check him out on YouTube, you know. He lives 5 blocks away from me. Anyway, so what we're going to do now is go back into time, way back. That's a song, guys. Anyway, so there's a 3/8 bolt here holding what they call I think they call this a plenum, but some people just call it an air isolator or a ram air thing. You know what I mean? It isolates the air that goes right into the that area there. You know, it draws air to cool the engine. So this is a plenum, is what I think it's called. See? This grass mesh thing's just off, you know. It goes on these 2 bolts. Should be 4, but it's good. That, right? Then you got the air cleaner cover right there. It's supposed to have 2 studs that go in there, like wing nuts. I don't have those. Maybe I do have them. I do have them. Ah, you see? Joe's a badass, man. He saves this stuff for me. There's only 1, though. That's okay. Hey, I'll take whatever, man. You know, I'm glad that they put them in Ziploc bags so that you don't lose them. But the smart thing is doing what they did here, is just putting the bolt back on here again. So here's the top cover. It's a good filter, right? Clean filter. The reason why it's so clean is because it has a pre-filter. A pre-filter stops most of the stuff from coming into your regular filter. I mean, you know, because this is so clean, I just don't see the carburetor being a big issue. I mean, it could just be dirty and stuff. So this top engine cover cowling comes right off. Big. So just looking at it here. You know what, guys? I'm going to take off the hood because we're going to be working here for a while, and the hood is blocking the light from the outside and not letting you see too well. The Craftsmans are pretty easy to disconnect. You just make sure that the lights are disconnected. And I say again, they're supposed. There you go. See, it is easy. It just comes right off. You know, I'm going to put this over here somewhere. Alright, so as you can just tell, here we go, getting a good look at it now. It's a badass angle right there. Alright, just from looking, it looks like it had a little bit of a rat's nest in here. Okay, some nuts. some twigs. Twigs and nuts. Nuts and twigs. It's a happy man that grins. Oh no. This has been sitting out for a while, guys. The magnetos are actually touching the flywheel and rusted there. Move this around a little bit and get it cleared up. We may have to do the air gap again on the magnetos because you can't start the engine this way, you know what I mean? No way. So I'm a little worried about that. Looks pretty rusty. So, you know what this is? This is the pulse line for the valve cover. A tube goes in here and goes to the carburetor, or this carburetor is not like an opposed twin where the fuel pump is built into it. I think we're missing the fuel pump, to be honest with you, because the pulse line should. This is the ignition coil to this cylinder. This is the fuel line going into the carburetor. There is no output for a fuel pump, so the fuel pump, from what I remember, is not on here. The fuel pump is supposed to be a separate item, so I need a fuel pump now. And with a line hose that goes right to this part, that this pulses from the engine vacuum, right? And it pulses the fuel pump, which in turn draws fuel from the rear gas tank to this line over here. And that's how you get fuel into there. So it's missing a fuel pump, for sure. Fortunately, I have an extra fuel pump. I'm gonna go look for it. I want to kind of try to put this stuff together because I just want it to be, you know, there, so it's not moving around too much. I'm a little worried about the magnetos. I might need a new ignition coil because honestly, it shouldn't be touching, even with some rust, you know, it shouldn't be touching. So I'm almost afraid that the person that had this last, maybe not Joe and his friend, but before that, messed with the magneto and didn't do any air gaps on it. You know, that's what I'm thinking, which is really bad because you don't know what's up with this. But I'll tell you what, though, I need to find out something. I need to find out if the connecting rods are even attached. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take this spark plug out. Wow. Damn, that's like new, man. Like it's not even been used. So that worries me even more because maybe this cylinder doesn't work. You know what I mean? Looks new. So look, I'm going to get a flathead screwdriver in my hand. Alright, so I got a flathead screwdriver. I'm going to stick it. I'm going to stick it in here, right? I'm going to turn this. Oh, sons of bitches. I don't feel nothing, guys. It's not moving. I think this engine's done ski. This cylinder's not moving. I'm going to take that spark plug out. Okay, I brought you over to the other side now. This is the other spark plug. Is it going to be clean or is it going to be dirty? Wow. Also very clean, but it does have a smidgen of carbon buildup, which means this cylinder probably ran. So let's stick that screwdriver in here. And see if it moves. You know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can't feel the piston from here. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's like inside, you know, and you can't feel it or see it. So maybe that's it, because I know the opposed twins are the same way. You could stick a screwdriver in there and you can't tell whether or not it worked or not. That looks like the piston. I don't think it's connected. I don't think so. Another way to do it is put your finger on it and see if you feel any pressure. I don't feel any compression either. But then again, the spark plugs are out. You know what I mean? I don't feel any pressure, or just freewheeling, and barely freewheeling. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to loosen those. We're going to have bigger problems, I think. So I'm going to loosen the magnetos so that they don't scrape against the flywheel. And we can have a better feel of what the flywheel feels like. You know what I mean? The crankshaft. I'm not going to do it this super hard, just, you know, a little bit tight, so that I have the right compression. You know, I don't want any air leaks at all. So I'm putting this spark plug back in as well. I have a feeling this is going to be another one of those multi-series episodes. There's no way I'm getting this started today. Okay, it's a damn shame too, because this is a good engine. You know what I mean? It's a really good engine, and to find it again, not exactly a lot of vtwins out there for free. You know, not free. And by the way, the oil that I checked is very clean, really clean. But I'm gonna loosen the two coils, because look, we've got bigger issues than it's starting right now. We want to see whether or not those connecting rods are even connected, you know. Got you up top now. It's actually 5/16. Usually they're a quarter, but it's 5/16. I'm just loosening the bolts and kind of pulling back on this magneto just a little bit, so that it doesn't touch. You know what? It's going to touch no matter what because of the magnet, so I'm just going to take it off. Hey! Alright, I'm just taking that off. I'm putting these little things back, and it needs a little bit of filing there so you can have a good ground. Just putting it aside so that nothing scrapes the flywheel, so we can get a good gauge on the free spinning of the... Alright, so we got both spark plugs in there, right? We've got the magnetos loose from its posts. So we should have compression, right? I don't feel any compression. Zero. Look at this. I mean, it is tight, you know what I'm saying? But look. No tss, no air, no suction, no resistance. I mean, there's some resistance just from it being heavy and stuff, but I don't feel nothing spinning, guys. I think both rods are gone. Yep. So another way to test it. How else can I test it? Could put the no, I'm not going to bother doing that. Put the starter on, connect the battery to it, run it. I mean, you could just feel with your hands right here. Alright, I'm going to think about this for a bit and see whether or not I should just rip the whole engine out, flip it upside down, and see for myself what's up in there. So I took this right spark plug out. I'm sticking my middle finger. I'm sticking my middle finger in it. My middle finger. To cover the hole. See if I rotate it, I feel any kind of pressure, suction, or blow. You know, I do feel some resistance actually. See? It's not exactly super easy to turn it, right? But I mean, you don't have a feeling that pistons are moving. You just don't, you know? It's too loose and free. But it's not super easy to turn, you know what I mean? And then there is up to a point where it is harder to turn. So I don't want to take the engine up off, flip it upside down, crack the sump off of it and find out that they're fine, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this valve cover off and see if the valves are moving. That'll be well, maybe that just means the camshaft is moving, but not the head. I might have to take the head off just to see. Here's the dipstick. It's pretty clean, and you don't see metal shavings anywhere. So there's no indication that the connecting rods are blown. Just look at the dipstick. Cletus, you dipstick!
Cletus, you know what you are? You're a dipstick. A 14-karat dipstick.
So you know what? I'm not going to take the engine off and flip it upside down and take the sump off to see. And I'm not going to take the valve cover off, because the minute you take the valve cover off, your gasket busted, right? I'm going to just put the starter on, right? And I'm going to connect it. I'm going to put the magnetos back on again. And I'm going to crank it. I'm going to take these off. I'm going to file these down. I'm going to clean the flywheel of its rust. Just going to take a file and go over this area a little bit, just to make sure we've got a good ground. You know what I mean? Because I don't feel much compression at all. But there is resistance, though. That's the thing, you know? So, I don't think that you could see on the twins, I don't think you could see the pistons moving unless you remove the head. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. You know what? Maybe I should just stop what I'm doing and go inside and watch a couple of videos on the vtwin. Like I said, I've only worked on one of them before, and I never checked. That one had... that one didn't have engine issues, so I didn't do any engine work on it. So essentially, this is really my first time dealing with a vtwin engine-wise. That thing had other issues, like mechanical issues, not for the engine, but I forget. I think it was electrical mostly. Which is why I was so interested in working on this thing today before the four-wheel steering one. I wanted to get this going because I didn't think it would be that tough to get this one going. But being that, you know, the engine could be shot, I just kind of feel like this is such a good engine. If it was shot, I want to try to fix it. If it means 2 connecting rods to fix it, I would do it, you know. But it looks like we might have more issues to it. I'm going to brush off the flywheel now. Some of you are probably saying, Henry, why are you going through the trouble of putting a starter and a battery on and hooking it up to see if it starts? Why don't you just figure out a way to see if the connecting rods are connected? And I says, well, you don't really have any signs of it being connected. But I want to see if when it cranks, you have that kind of compression. You know what I mean? And on the same token, I want to see if that battery works for sure, and it's not just the surface reading of 12.47. Also, I kind of want to know if that starter works too. Also, I want to know if the magneto works. Both magnetos work or not. See if it turns over, you know. And this also avoids me taking, what if I take the engine off, flip it upside down, take the sump bolts off, take the sump bolt off, take the sump off, the cover, find out that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, and during the process of me taking it off, I break the crankshaft seal, I slip the tooth to jump one, so now it's out of timing, a keyway pops off the crankshaft, and I break the compression release lever. I mean, what if that happens in the process of taking it off, you know? So I want to be 100% sure whether or not the connecting rods are gone before I rip all the wiring apart. And taking off an engine, you know, is theoretically easy, but getting those engine bolts off underneath there is very cumbersome, especially on something like this. You know, I have levers and keepers and pulleys and all that stuff still attached to the belts, you know. It's pain, a lot of trouble. So if there's another way for me to find out if this thing will start, it's just to put a battery and a starter on there and see if it'll crank. Also, I could test my ignition switch too, see if that works. Or I could just go inside and go watch a video. I can go do that. I should do that before I go any further. I'm going to go inside and watch a video. So I went inside, I watched a bunch of videos and stuff. Really wasn't that much information on it, but I did watch a bunch of vtwin videos. And they did exactly what I did. They had a screwdriver. I'm getting a thinner screwdriver just in case, you know, that thing was too wide and it was hitting something before I touched it. So this is a really thin one. I'm going to just stick it in. And he did the same thing. He was spinning this, felt nothing. Nothing moving, nothing turning. I'm actually probing every angle. And I've got no movement whatsoever. Zero. So I think the resistance that I'm feeling right now is the mower belt on the crank pulley. So I'm pretty confident that the connecting rods are both blown on this engine. It's unfortunate, really unfortunate, because it's such a good engine, right? And it's a lot of work, and I've got a ton of projects that need attention. I'm going to test this one too. You know what? One tractor at a time, right? That's all I can do. No movement whatsoever. None. I'm going to pull the mower deck belt off. My theory is confirmed. I took the mower deck belt off, right? And it's much easier to turn now. No compression whatsoever, right? And so look, I took this, right? And guess what? I pushed the piston in. And it kind of touched it and it went click, you know? Definitely both connecting rods are busted. Oh no! So you know what, man? I got no choice. I'm gonna take off the engine bolts, disconnect the throttle cables and the choke cable, the fuel line, the wiring harness, everything, and take the engine off, flip it upside down, take the sump cover off, and see if we can fix it. What a project this will be. It sucked, but I got the 4 engine bolts out, and now I also got the double stack pulley crankshaft bolt out. That was easier than I thought. I didn't want to lift up the whole thing and put my impact in there. It's such a pain in the ass. So I just put half-inch ratchet with the 1 1/4 socket on there, 5/8 wrench on the bottom, turned it, came off. That's an easy way to do it, I guess. Stokage. Taking this heat shield off so I have access. Access to that. It's a Torx. Of course it's a Torx. Means I have to get up and get one. It's a T26 Torx. You know what? I'm going to mark that. So I could just do this later, but you know what? Probably make it easier if I just mark some gold stuff here. You know what I mean? This way I know that in between the gold markings is where the cable goes. You know. You just mark it off like that. You know. Anyhow, so we're just going to remove. This is the throttle cable. You want to remove it, the whole wire, so you can get it off the Z-bend. Like this. See that? Put that aside. This one here. Great. Fantastic. I got it. Come on, man. Z-bend for the choke. Choke and throttle cable is disconnected. I'm going to have to cut this zip tie over here, and then we might be able to lift this thing off. Since the starter was never connected in the first place, the lights weren't connected, just going to take this wiring harness out. Or like they say in Canada, oh. So wiring harness is out, fuel is here. I don't see nothing else connected to the engine. I think we'd be able to lift this. I'm going to get the double stack pulley. Oh, double stack pulley's off already. You know what? What we're going to do is go back to the muffler here. These two pipes just sit inside, so just going to tap it a few times to make sure it's see, free from the pipes. That way when I lift it, I won't break my back. I'm going to get a stool with a hole in it. So actually I'm not going to get a stool with a hole in it because I have to flip it upside down, right? So I'm just going to put it right over here on that mat, that like a rubber, you know what it is. Anyways, I'm going to put a towel over it so I don't get dirty while lifting it. I'm just going to lift it up for now and put it on there. Aha! I can hear things crinkling and crinkling and crumpling and stuff. Yep, you hear it? Crinkling, crankling, crunkling. Definitely blown. So now we got the engine on its head. Got it upside down, sitting on the flywheel. I took those two Phillips screws out of the place where that round mesh thing goes, so it'll sit nice and flat. This is the oil seal for the crankshaft, and just want to get the crap out of the way so that when I do take it apart, I mean, I'm gonna have to rinse the inside anyway. You know what I mean? This is the cover for the oil pump. There's a seal in there too. So you know what, man? I'm going to get my impact and take out the bolts. We're going to lift this sucker up and that cover off and see what's inside. Before we take the sump off, I have to release the governor. This governor has to come off. I'll do some prying. Pretty rusted on the ends there, so I'm just doing some light tapping. There we go. There we go. Here's the governor arm. I'm just going to let it hang there like that. So, we've got a ½ inch. I don't know if this will get it off. How about that? Got it off. See, they're a lot looser over here. They're tighter here. Except for that one. So, these are all the same length. So I don't have to worry about one being too long or short or whatever. Okay. I think I got them all off. Methinks. Do some slight banging. It's not breaking loose. I think it's coming. You guys ready? Here we go. Just preliminarily, this looks good. And here we go. Governor gear looks good. Camshaft looks good. Really tight. And I can see piston number 1 is done. Piston number 2 is done, and they look like clean brakes, which is good. Gonna have to drain all the Earl out of here for sure, right? And then flip it the other direction again. Actually, do I need to take the camshaft off? Yeah, I think I do, because otherwise how am I going to get a piston out, you know? I have to take the valve covers and the heads off too. It's a lot of work. Lots of work. A lot of work. Did I mention a lot of work? I have to absorb all this for... So after I've been looking at this for a bit, guys, guess what? This engine is Dunsky. Why? First, take a look at the journal of the crankshaft. That crankshaft is trashed. You ready for this? Yeah, we can get another crankshaft, right? Might be 50 bucks. Or used for 25. It's possible, right? Check this out. Let's see if you can see. The wall is partially gone over there. Huge chunk. A triangle of like an inch. An inch is too much. If it was just a chip, that's another story, because the piston won't even reach that area. But it being so deep inside the wall, it's over an inch chunk missing in the wall. Not worth it. Dunsky! So you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to tear this all apart, part it out, sell it on eBay, and find another engine for that. Christ. 4 tractors with no engine on it. How about that? Cash me outside, how about that? So, that was fun. Not. Actually, it was kind of fun. Anyway, so after further inspection, after completely tearing down the entire engine, right? Got some good parts here, but we made the right decision, because look at that part there where the camshaft goes into. Completely cracked, right? And you got this part over here. Cracked. It's too bad too, because the bore is very smooth. So that's shot, that's shot. Can't use the block, right? And while I thought I could sell the sump, can't sell the sump either. Crackage. While the camshaft I thought was good, right? Except I looked at this second lobe over here. See? Chipped. And if you take a good look at it, it's bent. It's bent to the right a bit. So trash, right? But governor shaft is good. Valve covers, throttle, these are maybe usable. The crank gear is good. This was loose. Carburetor and intake manifold looks good. 2 magnetos, dipstick. One of the pistons, they could use the piston and the rings. These are rings off of the other piston, but can't use this piston. Why? Because that's trashed. This goes in the trash box. Tins. Oh, and the crankshaft. Can't use it. Journal's trashed. So, stator, flywheel, blower fan. Heads, valves, springs. That stuff I'm going to sell just like that. So putting the sump, the block, the crank, cam back over here and getting rid of it. That's right. I'm not even taking it to the dump. It's not worth it. This is not even worth $3 in weight in aluminum. Unbelievable, huh? Yeah, baby, what's going on, man? Look, everybody, it's Frank the UPS guy. Frank, say something nice to everybody.
What do you want to hear?
Just say,
Gary's the best.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Frank the UPS guy. Man, that's a nice guy. So Frank brought me a box of Lenny and Larry. Lenny and Larry's. I wonder what it is. Ooh. Three boxes. Three boxes of cookies. Double chocolate, white chocolatey macadamia, and apple pie. Shit, I gotta try an apple pie one. I've never had an apple pie cookie before. So I'll tell you about this. There's a class action lawsuit against these guys for saying that they had 16 grams of protein with some biochemist or something like that when analyzed it because he had nothing else to do. And he found out that there was only 4 grams of protein in it, so he sued. So the class action lawsuit, I joined it because I did buy these cookies a little while back at a store. So I just joined it, like, I don't know, like a year ago. And the settlement wasn't any money. It was 3 boxes of cookies. Actually, now that it's in my mouth, it's not bad. Out of control. Out of control. No engine. No engine. Duh. No engine. Go-kart. Storage. I am officially overwhelmed once again. Gonna have to get busy fixing some engines. Maybe I'll buy one. No, I'm not gonna buy one. I'll come up with some. See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers. Hey guys, support my channel. Buy a sticker. Also follow me on Instagram at Mowers Blowers. Check out my website. mowersblowers.com. See you guys on the next project. Have a great day. Hey guys, Boba and I want to thank you for all the support of Mowers and Blowers. If you'd like, make a short video clip like these, and I'll put it as an outro in my future videos.
Henry, I gotta go. I'll see you next time on Mowers and Blowers.